we've since we've been together, right? I was up in the North Woods and enjoying the cold and the snow. And you were
back to Chicago to the cold and snow.
Right? And yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. And you stayed in town for Christmas or New Year's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say first time, but actually last year COVID was the first time. It just didn't seem.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've been in Chicago 36 years now, and I think last year COVID was the first Christmas I spent, the first Christmas season I spent in town.
In Chicago. You always go home to Oklahoma.
Yeah, well, or somewhere with the family. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you were in Mexico for Thanksgiving this year, right?
Yeah, we did Thanksgiving instead.
Yeah, but in the past, have you gone to Mexico for Christmas?
Yeah, 2019 I was in Mexico for Christmas.
That's what I thought. That's what I was thinking, that you go to Mexico for Christmas, right? Where do you go? Not Cabo.
Cozumel.
Cozumel, the other side.
Yeah.
The jungle side.
The jungle. Yeah. To me, that's the real Mexico, like the Mayan jungle. But when I think of Mexico, that's what I think of. But
that's because you go there all the time. That's
well, partly, but to me, that's like I said, it reminds me when I went to Spain. It wasn't until I went to Seville that I was like, oh, this is what my images of Spain, like the old colonial Moorish buildings, sort of Spain. That it wasn't until I went there that I was like, yeah, this is Spain. That's how I kind of feel about, the Yucatan is to Mexico. It's like, the jungle and the Mayan pyramids and the thick.
Don't forget about the Aztecs. They're on the West Coast. The Aztec culture is on the West Coast.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's what I think of as sort of
in
jungle sort of thing. Yeah.
Speaking of Spain and the Moors and all of that, TCM Saturday night showed Lawrence of Arabia, 4 hours, which I hadn't seen since I was a kid. I remember seeing that movie in the theater. That tells you how old I am. When it first came out. And actually had an intermission. They had, remember the old epic movies? They had the music beforehand, the prologue, right, and then the intermission, so you could go out and get concessions. I mean, after it was like 2 hours and 20 minutes. It was like the first half was like a full-length movie. And then the second half was about maybe 90 minutes, so it was like 2 movies in one. But and then they had the movie afterwards, and the credits, honest to God, the credits were like, I don't think they were 30 seconds. It basically just had who the main actor, the main actor, and that was it. Those were the credits.
Well, they played the overture.
What's that?
So while they played the overture.
Yeah, not the overture. The overture is at the beginning, the whatever you call it, the postlude or whatever they call it. But and then they had the credits for the restoration, and the credits for the restoration were actually longer than the credits for the actual movie itself.
As they credit for that stuff now. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The movie was. I was kind of surprised because I didn't think the movie was that old, but it was restored in like late 80s, I think, sometime.
Yeah. But so several years ago, I went with a group of friends to the Music Box did a showing of, I think it was Cleopatra. Is that one?
I think TCM is going to be every Saturday in January. They're showing an epic movie, and I think that's one of the ones they're going to be showing with Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor.
Yeah, they did
who was Cleopatra's who she had the affair with? Anyway. You
mean
Cleopatra had an affair with.
Do you mean Cleopatra or do you mean
No, well, both. Well, that's what I
Yeah.
was going to say, is that the funny thing is that it was like the movie, you know, and true in real life, like replicated each other. Because yeah, Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton were quite the item. It was quite the scandal, because I think she was married or he was married, or they were both married. I can't remember.
Yeah,
I was a little young to pay much attention to that stuff, but
well, the music box had sent out a thing about it, and evidently I think there's like 4 versions of it, and all the way up to like, I think it's like up to 4.5 hours. And they were going to show an extended version, but not the super long version. It was like a 3-hour one, and we'd all decided to go, and then we were going to go out for pizza afterwards, and it was, I don't know, a group of 8 or 10 of us. And so we got the tickets, and I made pizza reservations down the street for afterwards and all that. It was a pretty big group. I think it was for a birthday or something. And anyway, we start watching this movie, and everybody knows, okay, this is going to be like a 3-hour, 3.5 hour thing, whatever it was. And it kept going and going and going. And then at one point I was like, so I think I need to go down the street to the restaurant to let them know we're coming.
they showed the director's cut, which is a 4.5 hour version of it.
Well, it
right?
wasn't even called a director's. It was actually the movie that was released. So I went up to the front, which is like the concession stand basically, and asked what was going on. And they didn't tell anybody, but when the film got sent to them, it was the extended version, but they didn't tell anybody that. So it was literally like a 4.5 hour long. And finally at about 3.5 hours, we're like, okay, we got to go because we have dinner reservations. We had to like finally just walk out, and everybody was like, oh my God, that just kept going and going. But I can't even imagine like just going to the movie back then and be like just sitting there all afternoon or whatever. But yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, 4.5. Oh my God, 4.5 hours. Yeah, it's like going to see going to see a double feature, right?
Yeah, and it may have even
So
been.
did they do
more
the intermission?
versions
Did
of
they do
that.
the like the before the overture and the postlude and the
Oh,
intermission?
yeah. From what I remember, yeah, I think they all did that. But yeah, it was insane.
I mean, after you sit there for 2.5 hours, you got to get up and move around and go get some see what kind of concessions you can.
Especially at the music box, because those seats are not comfortable.
No, that's right. But I love that theater. It's so great.
They redid the theater, but they did not ever do those seats, and those seats still have like the spring that pokes you in the butt, and like they're super uncomfortable.
We always make a joke about the concession stand. I always say to Carl, I'm like, okay, go see what kind of concessions you can get out of them, what they will concede to you.
Always, I bet you do always say that, and he's always like,
yeah, Mom, okay. I actually wanted to go see
like, that wasn't funny when I was 6.
It wasn't even funny then, right? I want to go see that movie West Side Story, the remake of it. I heard that it's really good, but
yeah, my mom and sister went. They liked it.
Yeah. I wonder, is it by the time I get around to it though, will it still be in the theaters? I don't know. We should have gone this last week when we were up in Door County. I don't know why we didn't. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen to the movie industry. Actually, it's like really sad, right? There was an article at the Tribune about a week or two ago about with COVID and everything. And I mean, they were struggling before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And there was an op-ed piece in the Trib about it. And they were saying that they're just going to have to come up with a different revenue model. People don't want to pay. I mean, the 3 of us went to the movies. We went to go see the new Ghostbuster movie, maybe about a month ago now, beginning of December. Maybe it was around Thanksgiving, when the new Ghostbuster movie came out, which was quite enjoyable, quite entertaining. I wouldn't call it a kids movie. There was some, I mean, there were little kids that were sitting in the seats behind us, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it looks like it's a much more serious version than the old one.
It's a little dark for a little kid. I would think a little kid would Although, as Carl pointed out, he's like, well, the original Ghostbuster was, maybe you pointed it out, was a little dark too for a little kid, and he was only 7 or something when they came out, and of course, we took him to see it. Anyway,
You made your joke about the concession stand.
and made my joke about the concession stand. So anyway, are we ready to get back to work and get back into selling real estate? I understand that it's busy out there.
Well, I've been here all along. Where you been?
Have you been working? Have you been busy? I've been on holiday.
But I've been busy, but I've been out. I mean, I was showing property last week and everything. So even
I see a lot of things coming up on the hot sheets coming under contract. It seems like things are moving quickly.
Yeah, and a lot of stuff coming on. You weren't I know you weren't on the Kinsey community call, but the Kathleen was going over the stats. There were twice as many properties coming on the market last week in those first, like, whatever it was, 5-6 days of the month of January this year compared to last year. It was like 2,200 in the MLS. It was like 2,200 last year. It was like 4,800 this year. There was like twice as many properties coming available.
Interesting. Well, think about it though. January of 21, we were all just starting to get vaccinated, and people were still pretty locked.
Yeah, but the fall of 20 was gangbusters.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So the inventory was really low, and the inventory is still low, but it looks like we're going to have a better supply this spring than we did last spring.
Well, next week we'll do we're scheduled to do our market update, our monthly market update. So we'll look at all that stuff a little more carefully next week. And I know that there's a couple of economic forecast calls. Are you going to get on any of those? I'll probably get on the one the car does.
Chicago Association one's on Thursday. I'll see if it's at an opportune time. Otherwise, I can read the stats in 3 minutes.
Yeah, I know you're not into those things. I know, but inland. I
mean, the stats will be published anyway, so I don't know how much better it'll be to watch it over a few hours.
Well, no. I mean, it's not. It's about their take on what's going on in the economy and the market and inflation and interest rates. I saw that 30-year fixed are up to around 3.5% up now. That's like a whole point. I mean, which 3.5% is still crazy low interest rate, but a month 6 weeks ago they were like 2.5%.
Mm-hmm.
So they've really started to go up, and of course that's going to have an impact too on what's going on in the market. So
I think part of it is I feel already much more up to date and informed with Leonard's daily email. You hear enough about all that stuff than we did years ago.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah, Leonard does a great job on that. He has obviously a more global perspective, a more national perspective, perhaps I should say, but
or both, yeah.
Or both, but
yeah, he tracks both. But yeah, I feel like I mean, he's had a lot of information regarding not only interest rates, the statistics of the unemployment, the inflation, all that kind of stuff, inflation here compared to overseas, all that kind of stuff. So we see that daily now.
Right.
So used to when we went in these car things, you hadn't really heard much of anything until somebody started speaking about it at one of these events. But
right. Well, one of my advisory board colleagues, Jonathan Stein, is at Inland Real Estate, and they always do an economic forecast, but it's more with a commercial bent in terms of retail and warehousing and industrial, that kind of stuff. What's going on, multifamily. I have to see when they're doing that, but yeah, so it's a season for the economic forecast. So I'll definitely be jumping on at least one of those. I'll probably do the car one on Thursday, Chicago Association of Realtors, and see when Jonathan's company is doing theirs. They usually bring in, well, they bring in economic guys from title companies or something like that to talk. One of those guys. They used to have a guy from CoStar, but I think he got promoted out or something and is doing something. So I don't think CoStar is, but they, CoStar is a national commercial MLS. And so it gives them a pretty good snapshot of what's going on in the at least in the commercial realm.
Yeah. I think they've actually bought some residential MLSs too.
CoStar?
Recently they bought one or two or something, or were looking to buy them or something. So yeah,
I didn't know. Well, they own LoopNet. They bought LoopNet, which was
they bought everything up.
Yeah. Well, for commercial, I didn't know that they were interested in residential at all. But anyway. All right. Well, everyone stay well and enjoy your night at the movies. And we'll look forward to seeing you next week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.